Really sad to say, but he was only 17. Now his mind gone, traumatized, got what he seen. Family try to help, but it's too late to intervene. Society's in the cave, but we can't believe the things that happen all in these streets. No degree, cause we in the streets. What's the stop, cause I can't seem to hold my peace.
Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. What you gon' do? Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. Do it for the book. Do it for the book. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the snap. Let's do it for the snap. Squad.
Wanna march in the street, go live on them. Wanna vibe to the beat, go live on them. Wanna preach, wanna teach, go live on them. Wanna spit that heat, go live on them. I go live when I'm about to drop jewels. Wanna go live, then here's a couple rules. Don't film fights, don't entertain fools. Some of y'all go live trying to give clues. Flex for the gram, show the feds every move. And you wonder why your face all on the news? Let's get it in though, with all of your friends though. In 5, 4, 3, 2, lights.
Camera. Action. Yo, Blade. Go live. I raise lions roar. I raise lions roar. Hell on earth, my quiet storm. Right on Zion's door. With my phone out in a girl's car. When I am bored, they judge me like on World Star. But I am more. Talk off my phone, buzzing for my people. Damn, I walk off like Joe Buttons into Migos. We more than a sequel. Got photos to preview. Switch to selfie mode, so the whole world can see me, you.
Go live, go live, go live, go live.
Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. What you gon' do? Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. Do it for the book. Do it for the book. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the snap. Let's do it for the snap. Squad. Ice. Squad.
Go live, go live, go live, go live. Pull them phones out, 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 go live, pull them phones out, go live, pull them phones out, go live, go live.
Ooh, welcome to the jungle, this my home, black. Let's go live, it's showtime, create my own chat. Watch Blaze cook, lift a boom, microphone rap. My Facebook, and I don't mean my iPhone app. Mean, when the lion roars, I'm mad at y'all. I press record, I wave red like a matador. The camera on, from the mobile shares to Viacom. Well, I am on, follow Blaze the lion bar.
P.O. double about to jump through your screen. Time to go live, go hard for the team. Got my views up like Drizzy, I mean. Vibe with a G, all eyes on me. Got something to say, but first let me pray. Cause when I grab my phone, I get in my zone. Keep it 100 from the time I log on. Put down the Draco, put down the lane. We lit over here, we sit over here. Mumble rappers can't even sit over here. Pull out the I-7 or the S8. FB or IG, yeah, they both straight. Just hit that go live, 5 seconds in your Gucci. Get them still broke, boys, time to make a movie. Selma the sequel, I'm about to leave the people. Lights, camera, action, what's your reaction?
Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. What you gon' do? Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. Do it for the book. Do it for the book. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the snap. Let's do it for the snap. Squad.
Jamming on stage with my phone in my hand. Spit my whole verse when I'm live on the gram. And I'm too hype, I got a flow you cannot bite. Been in the dark for so long, I just need the light. People get conflicted when I'm snapping like a pick. I told you late, don't like it, watch him kiss a hissy fit. You probably think I'm pulling up the way I'm riding with my clip. But we just sliding through the city like what stage we hit it next. Bullets riddled up, bodies drop, murder scene. Really sad to say, but he was only 17. Now his mind gone, traumatized, got what he seen. Family try to help, but it's too late to intervene. Society's in the cave, but we can't believe the things that happen all in these streets. No degree, cause we in the streets. Watch the stop, cause I can't seem to hold my peace.
Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. What you gon' do? Go live on him. What we gon' do? Go live on him. Do it for the book. Do it for the book. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the snap.
Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome once again to Chop It Up with Popp. This is episode 8. Episode 8. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Oh no, hold on, I'm sorry. I got the wrong thing up here, don't I? My bad. Hold on, we're gonna change this. We're gonna change this right now. I'm sorry, hold on. Little hiccup there. Hold on, we're gonna change this right now. That was last episode. That was last episode. Episode 7. We are now on episode 8. So let's go ahead and get that fixed real quick, fast, in a hurry. Because we already done with episode 7. Now we on episode 8, right? So let's get episode 8 up there. Because episode 8 is about something else. Ah, there we go. There we go. Alright. There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But now we right on point. Episode 8. There we go. Episode 8 today is entitled, What's Love Got to Do with It? Hey, y'all remember that song, right? What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? Yeah. Y'all remember that, right? What's love got to do with it? So, that's what we're talking about today on Chop It Up with Popp. So I hope that today everybody is engaged, everybody is involved and ready to chop it up. As you know, Valentine's Day is coming up, so I felt that this would be a appropriate conversation to have around this time of the year. I even wore my red, as you can see. You know what I mean? In the spirit of love and all that good stuff, right? So we are going to go ahead and get right into it. So I thank everybody for tuning in. And of course, as you know, this episode of Chop It Up with Popp is brought to you today by Ice Squad Entertainment. That's Ice Squad Entertainment. The I stands for integrity, character, and excellence. It's a powerful movement. Powerful movement to transform the entertainment industry into something of positivity, something of inspiration, and to set an example for the next generation. And you can follow more, you can find out more about Ice Squad at www.icesquadent.com. You can also check out the Ice Squad Entertainment artists such as Blaze the Lion, Popp the Ripper, Ramel the Youngster, and of course together they form the group Ice Squad, one word. So check the website out for new music, videos, and tour dates. Also, merchandise can be found on there, shirts, hats, memorabilia, different things that you want to keep as a souvenir or just to look good. You can go ahead and check it out. Ice gear is on the website as well. Alright. So, yep. So with that being said, get to it. Alright. So, what's love got to do with it? So, Valentine's Day is all about love, being in love. It's a time of the year, once a year, where if you didn't show your sweetheart any love whatsoever all year round, that's the one time of year where you're kind of directed, you know, indirectly, so to speak, indirectly directed to show them some love, you know, and the whole world gets involved with it, from the media to you know, for everything you see on advertisements, billboards, you know, everywhere you go to shop, you know, everybody's talking about love around this time of the year. So, you know, let's dig into that. Let's just talk about love. You know, one question I do want to pose to the audience, and you can go ahead and feel free to put your comments in the comment section. What does love mean to you? Okay, that's the question. What does love mean to you? All right. So I would like everyone to answer that. As a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and put that in there so that everyone can see the question and you can comment on it. All right. What does love mean to you? All right. So, alright, yep. What does love mean to you? So, and I'm pretty sure there'll be different things, but probably a lot of similarities, but I'm sure there'll be some different concepts and ideas from you guys. But, you know, a lot of times we throw that word love around so much that it's almost hard to identify what it truly means, because, you know, you hear it all the time. You hear people say, oh, such and such is showing love. I got love for you. You know, or people just say, hey, love you. You know what I mean? And because of the fact it's used so much, it's really hard to know, you know, where it's coming from. You know what I mean? What type of understanding is behind it when someone says, you know, things like that, you know, when they're talking about love and loving somebody. So, you know, most of the time when we think about love, we think about a relationship, you know, with our significant other, you know, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, that type of thing. And, you know, love is a big part of that. Love is a big part of that relationship. And the thing is, though, that even though love is a big part of those relationships, sometimes those relationships don't last. Sometimes your relationship with your significant other, it ends, you know. You thought it was going to be forever, and it ended up being seasonal, you know. But how much did love have to play in that, you know, is the question. Before the breakup, did you love them? If you were the person that broke up with them, could you say that you loved that person? Okay. If you were the person that was left, did you love that person that left you? Do you love that person that left you? You know, a lot of people feel like you can love somebody 1 minute and then the next minute you cannot love them. So how true is that? You know, I'm just posing these questions to give you guys something to think about, because we're going to dig into this love thing and see what it's really about. Okay? So this Valentine's Day, when you give a gift or do something for the person that you love, okay, as a result of Valentine's Day, when you give that gift or when you do that gesture or whatever for Valentine's Day, what is that really saying to the person? Is that saying that you love them because you did that? because you gave them that present, or you gave them that gift, or you did something nice for them. Does that mean you love them? Okay. If you feel like you are in love right now, or if you feel like you love someone, how do you know? How do you know if you really love somebody? How do you know? Okay. Now, I know that there's different kinds of love, and people will mention that, of course. But we're going to specifically this time talk about the love in a relationship between a man and a woman. Okay? We're not talking about love of your children, or love of your parents, love of your best friend, and that type of thing, love of your fellow man. Those are all different types of love, but this time we're going to specify romantic love, which is also defined as eros love. That's the Greek terminology for romantic love, eros. So that's the kind of love that we're talking about today. All right, we're gonna get a little bit specific, if that's all right. So I want to thank everybody for joining in. Appreciate all of you guys for chiming in. Share this video with a friend. Share this video on your timeline. Let somebody know that Chop It Up with Popp is on, so we can all dialogue together. Because this is a big topic, man. Everybody like talking about love, right? All right. So, when you first meet somebody, okay, let's start from the beginning of the relationship. So, two people meet some kind of way. All right, let's just say you guys meet at a party, you guys meet at a store, or you're out somewhere and you run into this person and you see them and they caught your eye, okay, and you really want to talk to them, you want to find out about them, you want to get their number, you want to know their name and all this stuff like that, right? And you feel something in your heart, you feel something that draws you to that person. So is that love? Is that love? Is love in effect at that point? Is love in effect at that point? Some people say that, I know you've heard the term love at first sight. How many people believe in love at first sight? I'm sure you've heard that before, right? Love at first sight. Can you just look at somebody and meet them for the first time and just and love them? Some people believe you can. Some people believe you can. So what is that when you first see them and you feel that connection to them? What is that? There's different things that attract us to people. There's the physical that attracts us. There's the mental that attracts people. Sometimes there's a spiritual connection. Just the conversation alone attracts someone to each other. You know what I mean? But are you ready to commit your whole life to that person? Because in the reality is, if you're not willing to make a commitment behind what you're feeling, then there's no way that it can be love at that point. Because one thing about love is that it always associates itself with some type of sacrifice or commitment. Okay, so I want you guys to remember that love comes with sacrifice and commitment. Okay, if you're writing notes, write that down. Okay, this is to help you identify if you're feeling love for this person. Okay, because a lot of times, especially young people, they identify love based on emotions and feelings of excitement for that person, but yet they're not really prepared for any commitment or sacrifice for that person yet. So, but they'll quick to say, hey, I love this person, I love them, right? But I'm here to tell you that love, real love, it comes with sacrifice and commitment. So if there is no sacrifice, if there is no commitment, there can be no love. Okay? So remember that. Okay? All right. So now let's just say that the relationship now develops into further conversations, and it develops into dating. Okay? Dating. Now you're in the dating stage. Okay? And from the man's perspective, this would be considered courtship. Okay? Now, in the courtship stage, do you love that person? Is it love? Is it love? Well, when you are living two separate lives, first of all, when you're dating, you are living two separate lives. Okay? You have your life, they have their life, and now what you're doing is you're making time for one another. You're taking time from your life, they're taking time from their life, and you're taking a segment of that time and you're coming together to do something. Right? Okay. Now, at that point, love is being developed. Okay? I wouldn't say it's quite love yet, because love, also write this down, love has to be tested. Okay? Love has to be tested. So if you're just starting to hang out with one another, you're seeing each other every now and then, you know, you make time for one another here and there, it hasn't really been tested yet. Okay? It hasn't really been tested yet because you haven't invested enough time into one another to be able to put your feelings to the test. Okay? So remember, so far we said love comes with what? Sacrifice and commitment. Okay? And then love has to be tested. Okay? So the dating process is a part of that testing, because in the dating process is all right. We are back. And I would like to truly apologize for the technical difficulties that we experienced. This is a live show, and unfortunately, when you're broadcasting a live show, there sometimes can be hiccups that's beyond your control. So nevertheless, just like anything in life, we just pick up from where we left off and keep it moving. Finally got everything straightened out, I believe, so we should be good now. So I appreciate everybody for sticking it out with us and coming back. So we're going to split this into two parts, I guess. This will be part 2. All right, and we're going to pick up from where we left off. All right, we'll chop it up with Popp. So thank you once again for tuning in and riding with us. All right, so we left off on, okay, we talked about first interactions. Okay, and remember, the topic of today's show is what's love got to do with this. So we're trying to identify what is love, what is really love. How can we actually look and say, okay, that's love, okay, and then we can look and say that's not love, even if it's called love, it's not, or we can identify something that we can say that is definitely love, and we are keeping it within the context of romantic relationships, significant others, spouses, that type of thing. Okay, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, that whole situation. So we talked about first interactions. Okay, we talked about first interactions. We talked about the feelings and emotions that we have in first interactions. In part 1, we talked about that, and we were able to identify that that first interaction is not love. Okay, even though some people may say they believe in love at first sight, it's not really love. It's an attraction for some, for one reason or another, but it's not love. Okay, 2 points that we brought out in part 1 that I'll reiterate is, one, we said that one way we know that it is or isn't love is because love comes with sacrifice and commitment. Okay, love comes with sacrifice and commitment. All right, so we know that when it is love, there is going to be sacrifice and commitment. And then what we also said too after that is that love, real love, true love, has to be tested. Okay, so now we were talking about the dating stage. Once you have identified that you and this other person have an attraction for each other, you guys like each other, then now you're in the dating stage. Okay, and in the dating stage is where now the feelings and emotions and everything that you feel inside for this person is now being tested to see if it's love. Okay, because remember, love has to be tested. So in the dating stage, there's different things that you're able to identify in that person. So you don't just jump in and say, oh, I love this person, because you haven't yet tested that theory. So some of the things that you're able to identify in the dating stage is you're able to identify this person's timeliness. Are they somebody who's on time? Are they somebody who's always late? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Do they show up when they say they're going to show up? You know what I mean? Do they continuously cancel on you? You understand? These are things you're able to identify with so that you can test those feelings that you have. You understand? So also too, you're able to see how they interact in public, because remember, you're testing these feelings that you have, because every relationship that you go into should never be seen as a short-term thing. Okay, should never be. If you're talking about somebody that you want to be involved with romantically, you want to be involved with to bring alongside you, you know what I mean, in a relationship, it should never be seen as a temporary. It should never be seen as short term. You should always be looking at it as this is going to be a long-term investment, and this is why those feelings that you feel for that person have to be tested before you can say that it's love. Because once you say it's love, that means that remember what I said in the beginning, that with love comes sacrifice and commitment. So you don't want to be so quick to jump into love, because once you jump into love, now you are going to be required to make sacrifices and commit. Okay, so again, in the dating stage, you're able to identify different things about the person to let you know if it's love. Okay, you're able to see some of the things that they like, some of the things they dislike. You can see some of the things that they do that may rub you the wrong way. You may not like how they eat at the table. I mean, it could be small things. You may not like how they eat at the table. You may not like how they always on their phone. You may not like how they talk to people in public. You may not like how they talk to you in public. You understand? These are things that have to be seen and have to be tested so that you can identify whether it's love or not, because love has to be tested. Okay? And the only way for it to truly be tested is you have to actually see some things that rub you the wrong way. And then you have to be able to see how those things affect you. Okay? You have to be able to go through that and see, are these things that I can deal with on a long-term basis? Because you're bringing two personalities together. Okay? coming from two different places, possibly two different backgrounds, maybe even two different cultures. So you never know. You have to be able to spend some time together to be able to identify if it's truly love that you have for this person. Okay? So, because there's a lot of people that you can like, you can be interested in or whatever, but that don't mean that you want to hang out with them forever. And if you don't feel like you want to hang out with them forever, then it's probably not love, man. So, yeah. So, I did pose the question in part 1. I guess I got to redo it again because now we're in part 2 and I had put the question in the comments, so I'm going to put it in there again. The question is, what does love mean to you? What does love mean to you? Okay, so we're going to put this in the comments and feel free to chime in and answer, because this is an interactive show and we want to hear from the audience and know how you feel about the topic. Okay, so the question is posed again. What does love mean to you? Alright, so again, so we touched on the whole love at first sight thing, and we know that that's an erroneous concept. It's just not logical. Okay, it's not logical. Those feelings are not love. They are great feelings that you may feel, but it can't be love. It's impossible to be love because the relationship has not been through the process to identify love or even develop it. So it's not love. Okay, so here we are. You are in the dating stage. Now, the dating stage is really the crossroad. That's where the relationship can go one way or the other. You know, it can crash and burn, or it can lead to the next phase, which is engagement, meaning that the man has identified something in that woman that he feels like he wants to be with this woman for the rest of his life. The relationship has been tested. He's seen the different characteristics of this person. He's seen this person in different elements. Different situations, and this person now feels that I've seen it, and I know that I'm willing to live with it and deal with it, because the things about this person that I like and that attract me are way more important than the things that I may not particularly like. Okay, and that's pretty much the decision a man is making when he asks a woman to marry him. Is he's saying, hey, I'm willing to take you as you are right now and be with you for the rest of my life. And that's not an easy decision to make right away. That's not an easy decision to make because you still don't know if you've seen everything, right? And to be honest with you, you won't ever see everything prior to marriage. You won't, because there's still some things that people are very good at hiding. A lot of times it's wounds and things like that they have not revealed yet because they don't want to spoil the relationship, and they don't want to mess up their chances of being with you. So or being with that person, so they don't reveal everything because they feel like if they did reveal everything, it may end the relationship, and they don't want that. So sometimes you don't find out certain things about the individual until you are already married. And that's just life. That's just how it works sometimes. But for the most part, if the dating process goes long enough, then you are able to see some things, because it's only a matter of time before things that are hidden come to light. So even if the person is trying their best to hide certain attributes about themselves, it's impossible to do it forever. They can't hide it. They can't hold it forever, because there's going to be a circumstance, there's going to be a situation, and it may not even be a situation with you, but it's going to be something that happens in their life where that attribute and characteristic is going to come forward and it's going to be revealed. Okay, if it's a bad attitude, if it's unforgiveness, if it's a filthy mouth, if it's they drink a lot, if they smoke a lot, or whatever it is, if it's anything about them that is a part of their character, part of their lifestyle, if the dating process goes long enough, it's gonna come out. And no matter how much they try to hide it, it's gotta come out, because people are gonna be who they are. And if they sit there and put up all these walls and hide it for a long period of time, it's gonna drive them nuts. So they are eventually going to show you who they really are, and pretty much just sit back and see how you deal with it. Okay, but that's a good thing, because I believe it's only fair for each party to be able to show and identify, you know, what the person is really signing up for. So that person has an opportunity, a fair opportunity, to determine if this is what they really want to commit to. You know what I mean? I'm not saying not to change the individual, but to see if this is something you're willing to accept. Because once you get married, then that is for the better or worse, good or bad. Meaning that when you make that commitment, you've pretty much said that you're taking this deal as is. Okay, that it's too late to now, you know, try to renegotiate. You know what I mean? The deal is signed. So, you know, we got to be very mindful in the dating stage of observing each other to make sure that it's love, because again, it has to be tested. All right, my advice would be to observe these persons, observe the person that you're interested in, the person that you're dating, observe them in other elements outside of being with you. That's the best way to really get the best view of who this person really is, because around you, they may have a certain mask that they put on when they're around you, because they like you. They don't want to scare you off. But there's people who have known them for years. It's people who have known them their whole life. And when they're around those people, they're the real person. They are who they really are around those people. And guess what? After they've been with you for 10, 15 years or most of their life, then that same person is going to come out. So you're getting a preview of who they really are when you observe them in their element around the people that know them. So you need to be very watchful and very mindful of that, because that's what you're getting. No matter what they're showing you at the moment while they're trying to impress you during the dating stage, what they do outside of being around you is exactly what you're signing up for. Okay, whether you get that part of them right away or not, you will get that part. Okay, so you need to identify you need to be able to identify that as well by observing them in their element, which is outside of your being around you and outside of your influence or your togetherness that you guys have together. Okay, all right, so yeah, so that's the dating aspect. And you know, here's the thing. If you're willing to accept everything that you've seen and observed, okay, if you are truly willing to accept it, then is when you can start identifying that this is love. Because I'm sorry to tell you this, but you are not going to find a perfect person. Okay? You're not going to find the guy that you read about in the romance novel, or that you've seen on Lifetime in the romance movie. You're not going to find that guy, because that guy is fabricated from somebody's imagination for entertainment purposes. Okay? But a real person is going to be flawed. Okay? So make sure you understand that anybody that you decide to be with, you are going to have a flawed person. Okay? And it may not be the same flaws that you have. It could be totally different flaws. Because guess what? If they had the same flaws you had, it'll be a lot easier to accept, right? But it doesn't work out that way most of the time. Most of the time, the flaws that you see in that individual are not the flaws that you have. So that's why it's a lot harder sometimes to accept those flaws, because it's something that you may not be dealing with, or you may have overcame in your life. You understand? So you have to be able to identify what things you are willing to accept and what things you are not willing to accept prior to making that long-term commitment. And there will be things that you have to deal with that are not good. So you have to, it's not, you know, going to be a situation where, oh, I just like everything. No, it's going to be some things that you don't like particularly, but because it is love, love will overcome those things, and you'll be able to push through them because it's love. And remember, love comes with sacrifice, right? And part of the sacrifice is dealing with the flaws. That's part of the sacrifice of love, is dealing with people's flaws. You understand? That's how you know it's love, because you're dealing with an imperfect person, but you love them the same regardless. Okay? So remember, love comes with sacrifice and commitment, and love has to be tested. So you can never really say that it's love until that love has been tested, meaning that this person has to hurt you. Yep. The person has to hurt you. And I know that sounds horrible. I know that sounds messed up, right? Because why would I want to be hurt by a person? But this is how you're going to know that you love the person. Because if the person can hurt you, do something hurtful, and yet you still feel that same passion, you still feel that same commitment, you're still willing to make the same sacrifices for that person, even though they hurt you, then you, my friend, have found love. You have found love. Because love is not what it has been commercialized to be. Love is not where everything is beautiful and sweet and you guys are holding hands running in a field of flowers with butterflies and, you know what I mean, doves flying in the air and everything's just wonderful. No, that's a facade. That's not love. Love is a job. Okay? Love is a job. Okay? And until you are prepared for that job, you ain't gonna really know if you're feeling love until you start actually working that job. Because guess what? When that person hurts you, when that person does something that breaks your heart or did you wrong in your mind or does say something that you don't like or whatever, that's when you'll know, what is this that I'm experiencing? Because guess what? If you do decide to take it to the next level and get married, there's going to be tons of situations like that throughout the years. You look at people who have been married for 40, 50 years or more, I guarantee you if they really sat down and told you their story and their journey, they could probably write a book on all the times that they have not seen eye to eye and felt hurt by the other individual. So if you're in the testing stage or dating stage and this person, when they do something to you that hurts you, if you feel like you're ready to just be done with that person, it's not love. It's not love. I'm sorry. I hope I'm helping somebody today, because I know sometimes it's hard to identify if this is love. Is this love? Did this person love me? Do I love this person? Is this somebody who I can actually invest my heart into? This is how you're able to know. Because of the messed up situations, because of the trials of the relationship. That's how you know it's love. That's how you know. Not because of, oh, this person is so sweet, this person is so nice, this person is this and blah, blah, blah. Oh, they just made me feel so great. Oh, that's wonderful. If they can do that 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, but we know that's not going to happen. So you can't base it on that. If that person is really sweet and nice and all that, like you said, then they're going to be that anyway, because that's who they are. Okay? If somebody who's really a loving person is not just loving to you, they're loving to everybody. Because if they're not loving to everybody, then that means they're putting on a front for you. Okay? Because who you are is who you are. If you're a giver, then you're a giver. You're not just a giver in certain situations. You're a giver all the time. If you love people, you love people. If you're kind, you're kind. If you're compassionate, you're compassionate with everybody. So if that's the characteristics you see in this person, that's who they are, that's their character, that's a given. You're going to get that by default because that's who they are. But it's those situations that are not favorable that you really want to pay attention to and see how you guys get through that part. See how you get through the tough times, okay? And that's how you'll know if it's love. If you're able to get through it, talk through it, work your way through it, and still feel in your heart that you don't see yourself being with anybody else, and that you still are connected to this person, then you found love. Why? How do you know? Because it has been tested. Love has to be tested in order for it to be identified as love. You ever see those people who they meet somebody, everything is sweet, the guy is sweet, the girl is sweet, everything is nice, then they go on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, and then they go up there and be like, oh, new boo, this my babe, this babe right here, blah blah blah, and they taking the pictures, cheese, blah blah blah, and they smiling, everything great. 6 months later down the line, they on there like, men ain't no good, men ain't loyal, all men are dogs, ain't nobody good out here, blah 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 blah, team single, you know what I'm saying, I could do good by myself, independent woman, all that stuff, right? Why? Because the love was tested and it failed the test because it wasn't love. When they first was blasting the dude or the female on social media, that wasn't love. They didn't even know if it was love yet. You understand? But because those tests came, they found out, oh, it ain't love. You know what I mean? Because that love was tested. You know what I mean? So, and then they go through that whole cycle again. Three months later, they got a new picture up with another person talking about that's they boo, and then they go through the cycle again. A few months later, oh, men ain't no good. I'm solo. I'm team solo now. I ain't messing with nobody. I'm just worrying about me and my child. You know what I'm saying? So my advice, listen. When you start advertising people in your life, that means you've made a commitment. And that means that you have tested that relationship, or at least it should mean that you have tested that relationship if you're going to be advertising them. My advice is do not advertise anybody until the love has been tested and tried. Once the love has been tested and tried and y'all still standing and y'all still feel the same way about each other, then okay, you can say, all right, this looks like this is something that's going to last. So, okay, now I want to announce you to the world. Cool. You know what I mean? Because the chances of you looking foolish is a lot slimmer than if you just jump out there without the relationship being tested. You feel me? So don't go by the surface. Don't go by how cute they are. Don't go by how sweet they may seem in the beginning. Wait until the test come, okay? And then you'll know. All right? So that's my advice. You know, that's my advice when you're in that stage, because I see that happen to a lot of people, and it's a sad thing. You know what I mean? And then they pretty much got to backtrack and clean it up, you know, after they did all that. And then when they get into a new relationship, they're afraid to announce this person because of the last time. But if you just go through the process and allow the love to be tested before you start doing all the promotion, then you'll end up surviving through that. You'll be able to not have to save face because it'll be real. Feel me? So yeah. So you know. Now, we talked about the interaction, right? The first interaction stage. We talked about dating, right? Now, let's talk about the next level. Let's talk about when you have made that commitment, when the love has been tested. Okay, now you're ready to make that commitment. You would say you're willing to make the sacrifice in sickness and in health till death do us part. Now you're ready to be husband and wife. Okay, now you're in that stage. So yes, in that stage, it has to be love, because because love comes with commitment and sacrifice, and you should never tie yourself to another person as one flesh, one unit, one person, one body together. You should not do that unless it is truly love. And we went through ways that you will know that. Now, once you make that step in the commitment in love and you decide that you want to do this forever, you go ahead and get married. You get married, right? Let's take the beginning stages of the marriage first. Let's take the wedding. Let's touch on the wedding real quick. So, we can see from history that weddings are a big deal. Okay? There's big, huge, extravagant weddings, all the way down to very small, simple weddings. Right? But I think one mistake that we make in society is that we judge the love by the wedding. We judge the level of love by the level of the wedding. And I think that that's a misconception. I really think that's a misconception, because the reason why you're getting married is supposed to be because you love the person and you want to be with them for the rest of their life, and you want your friends and family to be witnesses to that commitment. Before you want to present yourselves as a couple before the world and before God, and go ahead and start living your life and living that journey as husband and wife, right? That's what it's supposed to be about, okay? Because that's what love creates once it is gone through the process. But what I've found is that sometimes the wedding can end up becoming more valuable and more important than the person that is getting married. And I'm sad to say, I'm not being chauvinistic or nothing, but you generally see that more on the woman's side. There's a saying that says, hey, the wedding is really for the woman. There's another saying that I don't know if I made it up or somebody else did, but I know I say this often, that it seems that the woman wants the wedding and the man just wants the woman. And I see that a lot too. The woman gets so caught up in the wedding that it's like, did we forget why we're doing this? Did you forget why you're doing this? So what if you're not able to have this huge Cinderella wedding, this huge big production? What if you're not able to have that? Would you feel any differently about marrying that man? If you would feel differently, then I would have to suggest that you question your love for that man. I don't even have to ask a man that, because I know most men, if you ask them, they're going to be like, psh, forget the wedding. I don't care. I just want to marry this woman. We don't have to do that. But I know that women tend to think a little differently. But you got to ask yourself, ladies, if you were not able to have that big wedding with all, where you're queen for the day and all of that stuff, and you're put on display, how would you look at that man? How would your love for that man be affected? If you in any way think you would feel differently about that man, I suggest you go back to the drawing board, or at least go back to the testing stage and the dating stage, because even that is a test. Even the wedding is still a test if this is really love. If that man is able to come to you and say, listen, we can't have no big wedding, we're going to have to go to the courthouse, and you give him a stank look, or you give him an attitude, or you flip or change up on him, you could end up losing that man, because that should not have to have anything to do with how much you love that man. I'm talking about real love here, not that superficial stuff. And I ain't talking about somebody who just want to check off marriage on their to-do list so that they can show their mama and daddy, or show they all they married friends or all they single friends that somebody want to marry them. No, I'm not talking about people who want to do it for show, you know, like they just bought a new car. I'm talking about people who say that they love this individual. You really got to question that. Okay? Because the whole wedding thing, God don't require that. He required the commitment. He required, you know, the legality of it to make it official. But the whole hoopla is something that we do for us. You understand? So, yeah, something to think about. It's something to think about when you're really trying to identify, is it love? Okay? Is it love? Okay? The ring. Woo, man, there was a big thing going around on social media about the ring. There was a store, I think it was K Jeweler, I think it was, that had a special on rings during Christmas time, I think it was. I think it was Christmas time, and they had this super low cheap deal on rings, right? And people was buying them up or whatever. Dudes was buying them up and giving them to their girl and stuff like that. And then there was one side where the men were being trashed and the men were being dogged out because they bought that ring that was inexpensive for their woman, and now they were looked at as less than a man. They were looked at as some type of scrub or some type of bum, or as if they didn't love their woman because they got that ring. And then there was another side that said, hey, so what? It's the thought that counts, right? So you got to ask yourself, which one is operating in love? Is love determined by the size or the price of a ring? If it is, can you say that it's truly love that we're talking about here? Can we say that that's love? I'll let you determine that. Based on everything that we talked about, you should be able to see if that's love. Because guess what? When you get married and you go before everybody and that preacher is having you recite your vows and all that, it says for better, you're going to be saying for better or worse. Better or worse. Meaning that once you get married and you make that commitment with one another, that means that you're telling the other person, I'm going to love you if we doing good. We got everything. There's money in the bank. The kids are behaving. Everybody's healthy. I'm going to love you and love you and love you. And then for worse, meaning that if I ain't got nothing, if I lose everything, okay, if I can't afford a beautiful ring, if I can't afford a beautiful home, you're saying that you still gonna love me just the same. If I get sick and I can't do what I used to do, you still gonna love me the same. That's what you're saying when you give those vows. But how many people really mean that? Because if a man comes to you and proposes to you and gives you something that he feels will be a great gift to you, regardless of the price or regardless of all that stuff like that, so what, he got a great deal on it. To me, that's wisdom. Why waste money that you don't need to waste? If it's on sale, great. Praise God. You know what I'm saying? It's the store determining how much the price is going to be. So if it's a good deal, it's a good deal. But if you let the price of it, the price of the ring, determine your love for this person, then you're not ready for worse. You're ready for better, but you're not ready for the worst. part of the, in the vows. You may say it at the altar, but you're already displaying that you're not in it for worse. You're only in it for better. Okay? This is, again, the testing phase. All that is being tested before I do. And trust me, your reaction, that man will never forget your reaction to when he gave you that ring. Because do you know how much a man has to humble himself to do that, to ask a woman to marry him? And if he does that, and then that woman look down on him for something material, oh, sweetie, you probably just messed your chances all the way up. Because that man will never forget. Even if he go ahead and do what you want and go get a different ring, whatever, and marry you, I guarantee you it is going to affect your marriage later on. Because that man will forever hold that wound in his heart. And unless you guys deal with it. You know? And again, is that love? Is that love? You got some people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a wedding for a marriage that don't even last 5 years. And they probably could have bought a house or something with that money. They probably could have invested that money and flipped it 3 times already. But they put it all in a wedding for a relationship where the love was not tested, and basically lost all the money. Then you got some people who don't hardly spend anything hardly on the way. They may go to the courthouse. They may do something very small in the backyard, and they be together forever. So who won? Who made the best decision? Me, myself, when I got married, we did our marriage at a park. Yep, sure did. We went to a park, had like a man-made beach, created like an altar scene and everything like that with some flowers and stuff like that. Invited a few friends and family. Invited had the preacher come out, and we did a little ceremony right there. 10 years later, we still together. Still together. Okay? And my wife did not complain not one time. She didn't complain not one time. The ring wasn't that expensive, but she didn't care. And this is what stood out to me. This is what made me want to marry her even more. She didn't complain about the ring. She didn't complain about the wedding. All she wanted was to be with me. Now you know what that makes me, you know how that makes me feel? You know what that makes me think about? That makes me feel like this woman deserves everything. So as I increase in my life, as God elevate me, and as my resources expand, I want to do as much as I can for this woman. I want to now get her a crazy, stupid, expensive ring. I want to, get her a beautiful, expensive dress, and I want to lavish her with stuff. Why? Because this is how men think. When women are humble, and we see that the woman really is more concerned with us than what we have, that just make the man want to go harder for that woman and give that woman everything. You understand? But when a man knows that a woman is in it for things and stuff, it's very difficult for that man to want to go the extra mile, because in the back of that man's mind, he feels, or is at least concerned, that, hey, if I don't have nothing to give like this anymore, she won't love me. Where's she gonna be gone? You understand? And that's a horrible way to go through a relationship, feeling that way. You understand? So, yeah. And since we on the subject of me, you know what I mean, I don't mind being a little transparent. I know we almost out of time here. I don't mind being a little transparent here. But this is my second marriage. This is how I know a lot of the things what I'm talking about tonight. Because on the first marriage, I failed miserably. I failed miserably. Okay? When the relationship was tested, I didn't pass the test. You know what I mean? I didn't handle it correctly. I did the opposite of what somebody who loves the person would do. And you know, it failed the test. And this is the thing. You know, my thing is that where I messed up is that this was during the marriage. Like, when you get married, the love is still being tested. Don't think that the test is over. It's just different levels. It's just a different level of testing than when you were dating. The level of testing in the marriage is a whole nother level. So the love will always continuously be tested and tried, which is why you have to go in knowing that those tests are coming. And knowing that if the tests come, you're still willing to push through them. See, I was young, I was immature, I was not prepared for all of that. And when the test came, I failed miserably, made horrible decisions, and therefore it ended in a divorce. You understand? But now that I'm older, I'm wiser, I have a better understanding of what love is. I have committed myself to not make those same mistakes again. You understand? And now today I am encouraging you to also not make those same mistakes by applying the principles that we talked about and testing the love to know that it's really love before you make a long-term commitment. Now, I know some people end up having children outside of, you know, marriage and before all of that, and that creates a dynamic that's unexpected. But again, the child having a child together and being and loving one another is two different things. Two different things. Tonight we're talking about love, okay? And how to identify love. Because you can have children with somebody that you don't love. I mean, it happens all the time. So if you don't love that person, then why would you even put yourself in a committed situation with that person? You understand? Because you already know it's not love. You've already identified that it's not. Matter of fact, having a child together will even help you even more know if this is love and if this is something that you're willing to commit to with this person for the rest of your life. Because having children will bring out emotions and characteristics that you probably didn't even see yet in the person, because it's a very stressful situation. You understand? But this is what you will be signing up for if you did commit long term. So that's a test in itself when in a situation like that, to know where you want to take the relationship. You understand? Fortunately, the mother of my children, I loved her. So I married her. You know? And so I'm glad that it worked out that way, not just for my sake, but for my children's sake. Because I grew up in a home that, you know, was affected by divorce, and I would never want my children to go through that. So, you know, my sympathy and my empathy and compassion and prayers go out to anyone who's dealing with that. And then you have children, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But, yeah, so in a marriage, love is definitely going to be tested on so many levels, man. And, you know, you have to be prepared for the battle, because it's a battle. You know what I mean? The enemy wants to separate families. The enemy wants to divide households. So marriages are tested on a level that just day-to-day boyfriend-girlfriend stuff ain't tested on. Because, see, here's the thing. If you just dating somebody, if you just boyfriend and girlfriend, listen, you can peace out at any time and nobody can't say nothing to you. Think about this. If you go to your family or you go to your friends, whoever, and you say, hey, my boyfriend left me, or my girlfriend left me, it's going to be a different reaction. They may say, oh, really? Oh, man, that's messed up. But trust me, it's on right after that, not too long after that, they're going to say, okay, well, hey, go, move on. There's more fish in the sea. Go find somebody else. It's not a big deal. You can't call the judge. You can't call the courthouse. You can't call your attorney. You can't call nobody. All you can do is be mad. And you can't hold that person accountable for nothing. So they can just bounce. And it's nothing you can do about it. But a marriage, that committed relationship before man and God, if you go to your friends or your family and say, hey, my husband or my wife left, oh, it's a totally different reaction. Then it's like, oh my gosh, we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this. In the situations like that, there's people you could call. There's papers you could file. You could call the judge, the attorney, you can do all kind of stuff. Okay? Why? Because that is a different level of commitment. So yes, it is important, and there is a difference in being married and not being married. It is a different level of commitment. You can be boyfriend and girlfriend for 10, 15 years, but you still have not fully committed to that person. You may have verbally committed to that person, but you have not fully committed to that person in its fullest extent before God. You understand? And even before that person. So if you in a relationship with somebody who's been constantly procrastinating marriage, trust me, man, that's like having one foot in and one foot out. Because guess what? As long as you're not married, that person can peace out like it ain't nothing. And they know that. And a lot of people want to keep that in their back pocket. So that when they do bounce and you tripping, all you could do is trip. That's all you could do is trip. Because you know what they're going to say? And we not married. What you going to do? Nothing. Unless you got kids, you ain't got no ties to that person whatsoever. And even if you do got kids, that don't mean that they got to be with you. It's nothing you can do about them being with you. So yes, marriage is important. Okay? It does matter. It's not just a piece of paper. It's a different level of commitment. It's the fullest extent of commitment that a man and a woman can make. Okay? In life. It is. So that takes a whole nother level of love. Alright? So I know we ran over time today because we had those technical difficulties and we got cut short, but before I go, I just want to share this with you guys. I want to give you of course give you a definition that you can take with you of what love really looks like. Okay? And we're going to look at it from the true perspective of love, which is always God's perspective of love and what love is, what love means. Because we can give our own definition of it, and live in a way where what we call love is how we determine what we do. But if it doesn't line up with what God calls love, then it's not really love. And this is why I love the Word of God, because it helps us put everything in perspective. It helps us divinely align everything that we're thinking, and helps us to identify and know if we're on the right track or if we're way off. Okay? And it helps us to readjust so that we can be in unison with the heart of God. All right? And know if we're doing things correctly. Okay? Not according to our way, but His way. Okay? So I'm going to read a scripture here. This is known as the love scripture. It's in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and it's a very popular scripture. A lot of people recite it all the time, but applying it is really where the power comes in. Okay, not just reading it. So I'll read here. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and verse 3 through 7 is really where it touches on what God feels is love, what God's perspective of love is. And this is another way to identify if you love someone. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so we're going to go through this and then we're going to close. So it says here, If I give everything I own to the poor and even go to the stake. Now I'm reading the Message Bible because the Message breaks it down in the most common English you can possibly break it down in, okay? But it's in every version. So it says here, if I give everything I own to the poor and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I am bankrupt without love. And here's how it breaks down love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut. Love doesn't have a swelled head, big head. Love doesn't force itself on others. Love isn't always me first. Love doesn't fly off the handle. Love doesn't keep score of the sins of others. That's a good one. Love doesn't reveal when others grovel. Love doesn't take pleasure in the flowering of truth. Love puts up with anything. Wow. It's in the Bible. Love puts up with anything. Love trusts God always. Love always looks for the best. Love never looks back. Love never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love keeps going to the end. I want to read one more version of that, because when you read different versions, it kind of helps you get the proper perspective. So I'll just read one more version if that's okay. This is the NIV version. Okay, the New International Version. All right. Where is it? Okay, so let's do that again. Okay. All right. Let's go. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. So that was the NIV version. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. So, yeah. That's a scripture that if you ever want to get in tune with love and identify if you're really operating in love, then I suggest that's a scripture that you kind of go over, because to be able to walk in that level of love, it is definitely a process. This is why we have to continuously go over the word, so that it continuously, so we remind ourselves and we continue to build ourselves up in it and hold ourselves accountable. You understand? So this is definitely a level of love that I'm striving to operate in every day with my loved ones. You know, and you know, with God's help, we can do it. We can definitely do it. So yeah. What's love got to do with it? Everything. It wasn't just a song, man. It wasn't just a song, man. It was so much truth in that statement, in that question. What's love got to do with it? So yeah, love has everything to do with it, because God is love. And if we don't have love, then we cannot say that we love God, because how can we say we love God but we don't love our neighbor? You know what I'm saying? We don't love the people that God has placed in our life. We lying to ourselves. You understand? So yeah. So that's our show for tonight. I hope everybody got something out of it. Valentine's Day is coming up. It's a great opportunity to express love, to you know, kind of identify if it is love, you know. And don't let it be about things and stuff, people. Don't be deceived by things and stuff, because there's plenty of people who have all types of resources and money, and they can do anything for anyone, but that doesn't mean they love them. Okay, remember the principles we talked about today. With love, it's going to come with sacrifice and commitment, and love, true love, is always tested. And that's how you know it's true love, when it's tested and tried. Alright, so with that being said, this has been your host, Lamont Popp Nanton, and this is Chop It Up with Popp. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. I look forward to the next episode, episode 9. What will episode 9 be? Who knows? We'll see. If you have any suggestions on topics, inbox me. Let me know. You know, what type of things would you guys like to discuss and talk about? You know, hey, I'm here, man. Thank you for everybody that chimed in. I appreciate you. I see you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You know, hey, I'm doing this for the love, man. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I love helping others in any way I can. I love sharing the lessons and the wisdom that God has showed me, and, you know, sharing it with others so that maybe it may help you too. So I appreciate you guys checking out my show every second and fourth Sunday right here on Facebook Live from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Tell your friends about it. Share the group with them so they can get in and watch it live. Remember, you can always recap the episodes on my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search Chop It Up with Popp. Remember, that's P-O-P-P. Okay, and then you'll be able to recap all the previous episodes. So this episode as well will be up soon, and you can also recap and watch this one again. Alright, so with that being said, much love, peace, and blessings. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a blessed and wonderful night, and I'll see you next time on Chop It Up with Popp. Good night.